It's Marley from the Energy Boutique with your energy forecast for Monday, January 23rd. So we have the moon moving out of this Aquarian energy that we've been sitting in for the last couple of days. Of course, just having our new moon in Aquarius. We are shifting out of that Aquarian energy into Pisces energy, which is always a little bit of a deep dive in our emotions. We see the moon going void, of course, at 5:21 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. We will be locking into that Pisces energy at 12:37 p.m. So the Pisces moon wants us to kind of let go, wants us to unwind, wants us to chill out, wants us to rest and rejuvenate, be a little bit more adaptable to go with the flow. We are definitely looking at our, I'm going to say, spiritual exhaustion and recognizing where it is that we need to kind of refresh ourselves, renew ourselves. That Pisces energy is the last sign of the zodiac, so there's always a little bit of undoing, always a little bit of kind of resting, reflecting, rewinding before we are kind of downloaded with the get up and go that we will receive when the moon shifts into Aries energy. So there are 11 different aspects here today. 10 of them involve the moon. The moon is going to make an awkward interaction with Neptune. We seen this yesterday, early morning, where we had a hard time blending our intellect with our intuition. The moon in Aquarius is the observer, is the higher mind, and Neptune being in Pisces is our intuition, our higher self. There is a necessity to blend our intellect with our intuition. They're not the same thing. Granted, the Aquarian energy has our highest mind tapped into the higher dimensions of intellect that we receive information and inspiration and ideas from. But we also have a lot of information coming in from our intuition as well, which may actually conflict with the insights, the observer mentality that we're having with the moon in Aquarius energy. The moon will go ahead and semi-square with Mercury. This is our heart and our head not being on the same page. This is a little bit of a processing situation because, again, Mercury is just fresh out of its retrograde in Capricorn energy. It's very low, very slow, very logical and practical, definitely methodical in our thoughts, in our energy, in our focus, in our actions needed in order to actually move forward. The moon over here in Aquarius energy is focused on the possibilities. Both energies very focused on the future. However, the moon in Aquarius has us kind of, I'm going to say, conjuring up a vision and a dream that may not be as realistic as what it is that we need it to be. There's a little bit of, I'm going to say, a more conservative approach to the ideas that we're having in the Capricorn energy. And Mercury, being the ruler of the lower level intellect, is kind of conflicting with our higher mind because our higher mind is focusing on things that our current circumstances don't really dictate to be true. So there's a little bit of cluster effing here between our heart and our head. We have a lot to process. We have to kind of gain that big vision, bring it into more realistic type of, I'm going to say, scenario, and apply the logic, practicality, strategy, and method that is needed in order to actually bring those bigger dreams, that bigger vision into our reality by the smaller details of what we have to do in the run of our day to align with that vision, dream, and goal. We are going to have the moon in Aquarius come up to bump into conjunct Saturn, and shortly thereafter, Venus. Now, we know that Saturn and Venus are traveling very close together in the cosmos right now. We just had their conjunction take place early last evening. And because this is, they're not super slow. Yes, Saturn is a super slow moving planet. Venus, about a day and a half to 2 days before she moves a degree. So she's very much still within orb of this Saturn energy. And just as a reminder, this Venus and Saturn conjunction is bringing us a little bit of a reality check, bringing us back down to earth a little bit, kind of, I'm going to say, putting us in a very serious tone, serious perspective, serious attitude when it comes to our happiness, our joy, our pleasure, our relationships, and our finances. Of course, Saturn energy likes to kind of give us those tough love life lessons and, kind of drive home where it is that maybe we have to be a little bit more mature in our approach. And, Venus, the goddess of love, beauty, worth, pleasure, and money, she's in Aquarius energy, just trying to think outside of the box on where it is that maybe some boundaries need to be implemented, created, tweaked in order to provide her with a little bit more independence, a little bit more freedom. But there is this kind of conflict going on because we're really trying to decide, like, do we need closeness and connection and intimacy right now, or do we need space, distance, independence, and freedom? There is this back and forth. And having the moon in Aquarius, of course, this is our emotions, our unconscious self, our heart space, conjunct Saturn first. Well, that definitely brings negative Nancy out to play, definitely brings a little bit more of a funk, a darker demeanor. And then the moon goes ahead and conjuncts Venus, which is really putting the pressure on us to think outside of the box on what it is that we're not happy with as far as our relationships, our I'm going to say pleasure, enjoyment, and money matters go. So this is definitely going to bring on the funk. The last aspect that the moon in Aquarius makes before going void, of course, is with Venus. So then we have the moon go void, and this is when things get shaky and uncertain. This is when things kind of fall apart, when we start questioning things. We are going to see the moon, while void, make a very harmonious interaction with the true node, our soul's path, our destiny point. So somehow the serious tone, the unraveling, the pressure to think outside of the box and outside of the normal circumstances that we are normally trapped in is revealing a step forward. It's revealing what it is that we actually want, need, and desire for ourselves. Now, we're not going to get very far with this particular, I'm going to say, enjoyment of advancement, because the moon goes ahead and semi-squares Chiron, the wounded healer. So just as we kind of have this epiphany, this aha moment where we're feeling good, we're seeing the growth, we're seeing the path forward, Chiron kind of kicks in and reminds us of all the fears, the doubts, the insecurities of what this change would actually mean for us. And of course, as humans, we are predispositioned to kind of fear change, even if we know that change is needed. So the moon goes ahead, bumps into Pluto, the great transformer, in not the nicest way. This is going to create a little bit of a conflict, a little bit of a tension point in our lives in order for us to see where change is needed the most. And yes, Pluto takes us down this path of darkness, reminding us of the pain and the trauma and the suffering of our hardships, not to paralyze us, not to keep us in a funk, but to inspire us, hoping that that memory, that those situations, that experience will act as a catalyst, as an inspiration and motivation for us to dig deep and to do what we have to do to push ourselves into a new place of authority in our lives, to take the power back, to take control of our own narrative. So like I had mentioned, the moon will lock in to Pisces energy at 12:37 p.m., again, Eastern Standard Time. Here's the thing. We go all afternoon until 5:19 p.m. before there's another aspect. So we're really just sitting in the Pisces energy. Keep in mind, we get hypersensitive. We are over emotional. There is this dreaminess. Yes, it works great for imaginary land, for arts and music, and, to curl up and watch a movie or lose yourself in a book. But at the same time, there's a lot of memories coming back. There's a lot of aha moments. There's a lot of processing going on. And we really do have to kind of take our time to align with our higher selves, with our intuition, with the visions coming in, with the little flashes of insight coming in, and really kind of sit with that. But the first aspect, which is kind of super interesting, that the moon in Pisces is going to make is with Uranus, who, as you may know, just went direct yesterday, who, as you may know, is the ruler of the Aquarian energy. We're in Aquarius season. We had the new moon in Aquarius. We just had the moon move out of Aquarius and into Pisces. And lucky for us, this is a harmonious aspect that gives us a huge amount of insight, a huge download. This is like an epiphany, a bolt of lightning coming into our higher octave of our brains, the higher octave of our intelligence. And now we have this flash, this insight, this vision, this dream, this inspiration, really kind of motivating us to conjure up what it is that we actually want to manifest. This energy between the moon in Pisces and Uranus, who is now direct in Taurus, we are going to see some rapid moving circumstances. This is an accelerated manifestation state. We are going to see events take a brand new pace in life where huge changes are the name of the game. And this is the very beginnings of planting the seed in our higher mind. Now, here's the thing. Mercury goes ahead and semi-squares Saturn. So Mercury is our lower level intellect that rules over logic and practicality. And of course, in Capricorn energy is the, manifester of the zodiac, but it's an earth energy. So we're low, we're slow, we're stuck in the here and now. Yes, we're focused on our long-term goals, but we're kind of, got the blinders on. Saturn, who is the Lord of Karma, ruling over structures and foundations and roles and responsibilities, has a little bit of a funk going on because we kind of have to have tunnel vision on what it is that we have to clean up, what it is that we have to tie up before it is that we can actually move forward and start taking action to bring some of our new plans to life. Mercury, although direct in this particular situation, may actually cause some retrograde-like experiences with miscommunications and misunderstandings, mostly because we have blinders on, mostly because we're too close to the ideas, too close to the problems. We're not able to see the forest past the trees. And even more than that, we may actually see a delay, a detour, a disruption in our plans, especially in our attitude, in our perspective, in our thoughts, and in our mood. So we're definitely going to feel that shift. The moon goes ahead, bumps into the sun in not the nicest way. And of course, the overlap between the sun and the moon provides us with a good, very far outlook on the past, a good, very projected insight on the future. And what we're left with is this beautiful moment in the present of the here and now, in order for us to figure out what it is that we have to move away from, in order for us to actually be able to move a little bit closer to what it is that we actually desire. The moon in Pisces is trying to wrap things up, trying to bring a full completion point for us to kind of say, you know what, that chapter is ended. While the sun, shining a bright light on the possibilities of the future in this Aquarius energy, is trying to hype us up on what it is that actually awaits us. And what we get is this present moment where things haven't quite ended, things haven't quite begun, and we are starting to see where it is that the change is actually taking place in our physical lives. Now, the moon is going to bump into Jupiter in not the nicest way. Jupiter, of course, about growth, expansion, beliefs, abundance, blessings in Aries energy, really kind of giving us that impulse to put ourselves out there, to jump into new opportunities, to make huge leaps forward. Problem is that Aries energy acts on impulse without thinking about the long-term consequences of the actions, and we can't do that. We're in a very interesting phase of building the systems and structures that need to be strong enough to house the kind of life that we are going to build upon them. And we cannot afford to just jump into things willy-nilly without thinking about the long-term consequences of our actions. So emotionally speaking, being in this Pisces energy, there is a fog, there's a dreaminess, if you will. And this not so nice aspect is kind of showing us where it is that there's a hesitancy to do what we have to do to actually grow. Again, that Pisces energy can be the escape artist of the zodiac. We tend not want to deal with real life. We just kind of want to live in la la land. And sometimes when we are just realizing, again, between the moon and the sun, where it is that endings are taking place in order for beginnings to actually have a space to open up to us, it can be very jolting when you actually start to see the evidence of the change and transformation going on in our lives. So at this particular point, many of us are overwhelmed. Things are pretty big because Jupiter is very extra. It likes to turn the volume all the way up on whatever it is that we're thinking and feeling. And right now we're kind of stuck in between not wanting to deal with the weight of the reality of the here and now, and stuck in la la land that we know that we can't live in forever, but we have to live in right now in order to kind of calm ourselves from the stress, from the weight, from the responsibility of all that we have to do in this process of change and transformation.